Welcome back to the Manly Mythical Story Emporium. Once again, I'm your host, Thurston J.Y. Manley, your speaker's favorite speaker, the pugilist of pontification. I welcome you to a new episode of the Manly Mythical Story Emporium. This episode's theme will be fear, based on Halloween just passed, and we have an election tomorrow or today, or it happened already, depending on when you listen to this. So we should know what type of president we're going to have for the next 4 years. Good luck, everybody. May the odds be in your favor, if you will. Today's episode, we're going to have 2 stories like we always do, and then I'll put some, points of view at the end, make it a little funny, couple little jokes at the end. Hopefully they'll land. Hopefully it'll be good. Things that I use in my open mics that I try to sharpen up and see how they go. And I appreciate everybody for listening. Once again, if you want to donate to the podcast, you can go to the website that's available on whatever device you're listening on. If you just click on that anchor link down at the bottom, it'll take you to my page and you can donate there. You can donate monthly, one time, do whatever you feel. But also, please follow me on Twitter. That's Manly Story Pod. You can also find me on IG at Manly Mythical Story. And on Facebook, Manly Mythical Story Emporium, the whole thing. MMSE, Manly Mythical Story Emporium. And if you have any story ideas or any sponsorship ideas or anything that you're selling out there, I'll gladly do a commercial for you, just like the one you're going to hear after I finish this from Anchor. But I'll gladly do a commercial for you if you're willing to pay me. We're willing to sell out over here. But email all that to me at manly, MANLEY, story at gmail.com. manlystory@gmail.com for any show ideas or anything like that. You can DM me on all those platforms and I'll try to get back to you. I'm usually pretty good about that. I'm getting better. And we're going to work on getting some of those videos uploaded. I'm going to work on those tonight. So maybe by the end of the week, no promises, I'll try to get us all caught up on the YouTube. And then once we get some product together, then I'll start doing some live videos and whatnot, like everybody else, be all special. But today's episode, I said again, is fear, based on Halloween just passed. First story is going to be Grandpa Cures. That should put everybody in a tremble if you knew my grandfather. Grandpa Cures, all coming from my grandfather, Walter Pettiford. And then the second story is Jail Time. Ooh, Jail Time. Yep, Jail Time. That's going to be an interesting story. First story, Grandpa Cures. Second story, Jail Time. Things that people fear. And thank you for listening. Right after this ad, we'll get right into the stories. Thank you guys. Follow, enjoy, support, like this podcast, review, stars, all that good stuff. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Now, on the theme of fear, it causes you to reflect on what are some of the things that you fear. Now, one of the things that I feared when I was younger that my grandpa cured me of was the fear of snakes. Also, I had a fear of the chickens because my grandfather had a big rooster that I was really afraid of when I was maybe before kindergarten. And he cured me of that fear because there's nothing to fear but fear itself, or whatever Kennedy said. But, it's different when there's a snake, because there's something to fear. It's a snake, its teeth, it can kill you. It has no feet or arms, but it can kill you. And it just moves, and it can be quick, but it can be slow and sneaky, and it just get in everywhere. One of my friends just had a snake in her house. One of my neighbors has had a snake in his front porch, and another friend had a snake on their front porch. And that is fear. Let me tell you, that is the essence of fear. And I still have a healthy I don't want to say fear anymore because that defeats the point of the story of Grandpa curing it. But I do have a healthy respect and admiration for a snake. I need to know where it is. If it just comes out of nowhere, it'll jolt me initially. But then after that, I'm on point. I'm straight up like 6 o'clock, ready to go. But let's get to the story of how Grandpa cured me of this fear in his many doctoring ways, and also my fear of chickens. Now, for the fear of snakes, in North Carolina, and I was in Lewisburg, North Carolina, in a rural area, you may have a lot of snakes. And some snakes are, quote unquote, good snakes to these country people. The good snakes are the black snake. The black snake will kill, rodents and rats and whatever else. It'll keep all that other stuff away, which are things that maybe eat your crops or maybe get in the house and you don't like a mouse. But, a good snake to me is a dead snake. And that is pretty much how my grandfather lived, even though he was a gardener and he did have chickens and things like that, because the black snakes would eat his eggs. So those snakes they gotta go. And I remember one day I came home from school and I saw something in a tree and it was moving and it was a snake. And I ran in crying, Grandpapa, Grandpapa, because I didn't call him grandpa or grandfather. I was real country. I was like, Grandpapa, 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 snake. And he just said, where? And he went out there. This is a man that fought Germans. And he could tell you how many notches was in a German's boot because he was laying in the brush as the Germans walked by. And he was mainly worked in the mess hall and cooking. So he wasn't really down for that battle stuff. So he had to hide while they went by and then, get the action later. So this man does not fear the snake, even though it has the high ground. The snake had the high ground, like in Star Wars. Anakin was up there. That dude, that daggone thing had the high ground up in the tree. He just took this metal pole that he used to stake his plants with and just kept throwing it up at the snake in the tree until it hit the branch. It fell. And when it fell, he beat it with the pole and that didn't do it. So he grabbed the tail of the snake and just popped it, killed the snake just like that. I was like, oh my goodness. And then he looked over to the yard and he saw another black snake. He's like, oh, it's not a snake over here. So he just walked over there. Turns out it wasn't a snake. It was my bat. And he didn't like that too much because I had one of those cheap baseball bats that you get from Car Drugs or CVS, one of those pharmacy bats that was plastic hollow. It had the little hole at the bottom, little air bat, maybe almost like a wiffle bat. If you just so you can get a picture of it, but it was fat and wide and it was always flat. The reason this bat was always flat is because me and my cousin Jamel and my cousin Jasmine would play baseball with it. And we would convince our little cousin Jasmine, the girl, because her name is Jasmine, to throw apples at us. And we would hit them with the bat or we hit them with that same snake killing pole. And then she'd get splattered with the apples because we didn't want to get splattered. But we would play baseball with it. So that plastic bat that's designed for plastic balls would often get flattened. And we would just leave our toys there. And Grandpa hated that because he had one of those Victory Garden front yards. And this was the half an acre to the side of the house was perfectly kept. Flowers, fruit trees, bushes, well trimmed. The front of the house was all dirt from us playing. And then right beside that dirt, towards the side of the well-kept part of the yard, it was driveway. So he's like, y'all can drive your cars here. You can tear up right in the front. But this is me over here. This is well-kept grass. And this is nice fruit trees. This is Victory Garden. This shows we got rid of all those Germans out of here. We won the war. Okay, Grandpa, we'll do that. But we never really did that. So we leave our toys there and leave our bat. And he would hate that because he wouldn't want to run over the bat because that would just leave trash in the yard. And based on where his house was, people will often walk by and just throw stuff in the yard because people are evil, as he put it. People are dumb, stupid, evil, whatever, and they would throw trash in the yard. And he didn't like that. You're just adding to the stuff he's got to clean up when he's keeping this garden trimmed and keeping his front yard looking all nice. And I did this one day. I left the bat, and I thought about it when I got home. When I left my grandfather's house, went home, I said, I left the bat out there. It'll be all right. He wouldn't care. But sure enough, he did care. And then I came back home. And when I got home, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I should do something about it. Then I caught the bus to school. Went to school, didn't think about it anymore. Then I went to Grandpa's house. And as I went to Grandpa's house, I walked up, and my grandfather was sitting on the porch, rocking, nodding off on his swing. He would do that often. Be on that swing, just nodding off, going to sleep. And as he was rocking on that swing, he kind of saw me coming up. He said, "Hey, boy, Thurston," because he called me Thurston. My first name is George, but he called me Thurston. He said, "Go get your bat out that daggone yard before I cut that grass. I'm gonna cut you next time. Tear your hide up." Never tore our hide up, but I still feared it. So I ran over there, kind of stomping. I don't want no bat. And I reached down, picked up the bat, and the bat went limp. Thinking, not looking, because I'm fussing about having to do work, and I had my heavy book bag on that was from the Army surplus, so it's cutting into my fat little shoulders. And I picked the bat up. I'm like, "Got the bat, Grandpa, fine, I got it." And I was like, "You broke it, it melted." And I, picked it up with my arm to the back, and I held it up to him. I was like, "Look what you did to the bat." And I threw it, and I showed him, and it was a snake. It was a snake. And I was like, and I threw it down and did the little whip like Grandpa did to kill it. It was already dead, but I was ripping it out and ran. And he's like, "Oh, you killed that snake, didn't you?" I was like, "Yeah, I killed it. He's like, "You didn't kill it." So apparently my grandpa cured me of the fear of snakes by killing the snake himself and then laying it where my bat was, where I had left it, laid it out perfectly flat. So I had picked up this black snake that was probably a good 4 feet long, longer than the bat, but the fat part looked like the bat in my hand. And that got me over my fear of snakes. I never feared it again. I hated my grandfather for quite a while, through the weekend, and everybody laughed at the story. Oh, he cured me of that fear of snakes. And that's how I was done. Now for my fear of the chicken, because this big chicken, when I was in kindergarten or even younger before I went to school, I really spent more time at my grandfather's house after I left pre-K. And he would help. I would go with him and help, quote unquote, help him, get the eggs and put them in the crates. And these big roosters would chase me because the roosters, as my friend Van would call them, the barnyard pimp, would keep everybody away from his hens and like peck at me and chase me around the yard. And when it got out to the front, because either I left the gate open or somebody did, I would be in charge of kind of wrangling him. But he really scared the crap out of me. And I didn't like it. But it was something I was able to kind of manage, but it was a fear because the hens were fine, but that rooster, it was one of those white with the black, and it was mainly black at the top. So that red on his face was like really sharp, and that ting, it was almost like you get that glistening like in an anime sword off his little pecking beak every time you saw him. And he had that big ugly flap on the top of his head, that mohawk laying to the side, the faux hawk, and I didn't like it, and I would run from him, but I'd be fine with the hens. And one day I got chicken pox, and it just started, little bumps and things like that, and I never got over it. And they said, "Well, Grandpa can cure you of that." And the same way he cured all of us of chicken pox. So he can cure us of chicken pox because he was known for his cures, because he is an older, wise man. I mean, you think about it, his father was, a slave, and he has some of these roots and things he could put on you to do, to use to help you get better, like this type of tea and things like that. Now, he was a full believer in medicine, so he wasn't straight up witch doctor, but there were some old wise tales of cures that he definitely believed in. Like my dad had like a little knot on his wrist, probably carpal tunnel, that swole up like almost like a cyst thing on his wrists, on the inside of his wrist. And he said, "You need to rub old dog bone that a dog chewed on and rub it on there." And the thing went away. It might have been in his head, but it went away. So the way to cure you of chicken pox is you got to sit in a chicken coop and wait until a chicken jumps over your head. Because that makes perfect sense. It's chicken pox and chicken jump. So if chicken dunks on you, like straight up jumps over you like Michael Jordan or something, and tongue out and all, you'll be cured of chickenpox. Makes perfect. No, it don't make not narrow bit of sense. For my international listeners, narrow means it doesn't make any sense. None, no sensical making. No, it doesn't work. But he set me in there. And one of the things I noticed that I didn't do while you're sitting in like a chicken coop on the ground, looking at chickens, like at eye level now, because I'm 5, around poop and dirt and waiting for one to jump over your head, is you don't think about scratching yourself. You lose the itchiness. And finally, that rooster came up to me face to face, and I had to like smack it away because it obviously wasn't going to jump on me. It came to peck me. I smacked it away, and I got over my fear of chickens. And eventually a hen jumped over my head because I laid down once I wiped the chicken poop away from behind me, and the chicken jumped over my head, and I was able to get out. And I was less itchy because I was proud that I survived that. And after sitting there for about two, maybe 3 hours, felt like 2 or 3 hours. I don't know how long it was. It was a long time. Chicken jumped on my head. I was pretty much cured of the chicken pox. So you don't need any of those fancy shots or cures that might give you autism or whatever they're saying it does now. You just need a chicken coop and let one of them jump over your head, and your chicken pox, measles, all that's gone when you sitting amongst chicken feces and corn feed and getting pecked in the head. But that's the grandpa cures. Thank you guys. Next story coming after this. Jail time. Oh yes. I was not in a jail, but I did sit outside of a cell for a few minutes. But luckily I had money for my bond. But let me tell you about jail time and why it was one of my fears that I got over, and I don't really want to go to jail. Now, recently with this divisiveness in America and the Karens and the Antifa, Black Lives Matter, the Proud Boys and things like that, you often see in some of these videos where the person's like, I'm not afraid to go to jail. Mad respect to you. I am. But if somebody told me you can call the cops because jail don't scare me, you would realize that you are now in a real situation or a real problem. And how I wind up outside of the jail, and I'm glad I didn't get locked up, because they would have asked me, hey man, what you doing in here? And I'd be like, oh man, Dynasty Warriors 2, PlayStation 2. That's why I'm in the jail. So what was going on in, I believe this was in early 2000. In the first part of that year, I had just finished up my football career. I was done. So that was 2002 at Guilford, because I didn't play my last year of 2003, which because I was a 5-year person. But 2002, I got a PlayStation 2. My current wife, girlfriend at the time, we were able to find a PlayStation 2. They had just come out. They were hard to find, and we just happened to be in Raleigh at Toys R Us. And we got a PlayStation 2 and bought Madden, and it was the most amazing thing. For those that don't know how amazing the PlayStation 2 was compared to, I dare you to go play Super Tecmo Bowl, which is the football game we grew up on, where you would pick the Raiders and just have Bo Jackson just run over everybody, or Marcus Allen run over everybody. But this was, oh man, this was like beyond. This is going to the moon. This is like going from playing Snake on the Nokia phone to being able to play like Arch Hero or Candy Crush on your iPhone, like that, like in a snap. That was a snap, in case you didn't hear it. This microphone should catch up a little snap. It went that quick. You all of a sudden, you're in the future now. Like, these players look like people, and they got little side things. But I had that. I had a PlayStation 2, and then I brought it to school, worked it out. Called my roommate, my roommate that I was going to have, my new roommate, Doug, I called him before school started. I was like, hey, man, I got a PlayStation 2. And he said, hey, man, I got an Xbox. So we lit. And we had a pretty big TV. He brought the bigger TV, and we would play the games. And we went to a rental place when we finally got to campus. That was on Battleground Avenue, which is in Greensboro, North Carolina. And it wasn't like Blockbuster. It wasn't a main one. It was like a local store. I think it might have been called like Player's Choice or something like that. It's no longer there. But we rented a game, and we wanted to rent a game everybody could play because we were big Halo, Perfect Dark, which is, point of view shooter games. But this was Dynasty Warriors. Dynasty Warriors had multiple characters. It was based on some loose history of China and these warring clans, the way you always looked out for Lu Bu and the Shuns and the Zans and all these real historic names and clans and tribes, and you pick these characters and you just fight. So we rented the game. It was like $5. You set up the membership, you put your card on file, and you just rented the game. So I rented the game in January and just kept the game. I would every now and then go back and pay because everybody was addicted to this game. Everybody were able to get their own characters, you get your own weapons, and we were just amazed with it. We just played nonstop. Never returned the game. Just every now and then I would okay the charges and pay extra $5, $8 here and there. Never really keeping up, accruing a balance. My balance was like the cost of the actual game, probably 3 times over. Because if you know, like I know, for the true gamers out there, it's just like a car. As soon as the game comes out, you take it out, it automatically depreciates. So this game has been out for a while already. But Dynasty Warriors, to this day, I just played it to this day. Play it on PlayStation 4 that I got. And I played Dynasty Warriors. That's how we were so addicted to this game. And I kept it. And one day we went to the caf and came back, and it was 2 Guilford College security guards out there. And it was like, hey, JY, because everybody knew me as JYD, Junkyard Dog, nickname I got from the football team because I look like the wrestler, the Junkyard Dog. And they pulled me to the side. It's like, hey, man, the police are looking for you. What did you do? Because they were really worried because the police have a warrant for my arrest. And I was like, I don't know what you mean. What did you do? They have a warrant for your arrest. We had to take them to your room. We tried to send somebody out. They may have ran a little interference for me beforehand. I say they did. I can say they did. They're no longer there. And for the story purposes and to protect the innocent or maybe the guilty, allegedly, I'll say allegedly, they kind of called into the room ahead of time, and while they were taking the police there to my dorm room to give me a heads up, like, yo, get out of there or don't answer the door. But I wasn't even there. They took them there. I wasn't there. They told security. They gave me a note. And I had to look online, and I found out what it was. It was failure to return rental property. Yes, there had been a warrant issued for my arrest. And the same warrant, because at Guilford, if you don't pay your money, your mailbox would change. So theoretically, your address would change, or they would kick you, not really kick you out, but in the system, you'd be kicked out of your dorm and brought back in. So that had happened maybe once or twice or something like that, because I wasn't playing football anymore, grants or whatever. Something happened. And it happened like a couple times. So they didn't really have a real address for me because I didn't know what my mailbox was because it would change. And they had to send it to my parents. And so I was going home that weekend anyway, not realizing that, trying to figure out, oh man, what I'm gonna do. So I figure that weekend when I go home, all right, I'll go pay the store. So I go and I take the thing there and pay the store. And it was like, well, you still gotta take care of your warrant. We issued the warrant. You paid us the money. Here's your receipt. So I paid them like $65, got the receipt, held them the receipt, went home, thinking my parents won't know. They'd catch me in the driveway. It's like, why are the cops? Why is the sheriff coming to the house looking for you over some game? I was like, oh, I forgot that I had the game. And then I couldn't find it. And I called them and I paid it. See? And they were a little bit better about that. It was like, okay, we'll go and take care of it. You need to go up to Guilford County now. So now I drove home and I had to drive back to Guilford County so I could be there Monday morning because I didn't want to get fussed at one reason. They couldn't handle it on a Sunday, but Monday morning I go and show up. All my cousins are calling me on the way up because I was supposed to see them that weekend. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, Tammy, I gotta go. She's like, it's all right, we gotta ride on some fools or something like that. She's from Jersey, so she got my back. I love my cousins. And my cousin Chandra was with me down from New York, and she goes back to to Greensboro with me, and we go and pay the bond because I need somebody with some extra money in case they try to hold me. So I go and I run into the cop and I say, yo, I got a bond, I got to pay it, and I got the receipt. And they was like, yeah, we don't care about the receipt, but you need to pay your bond. So I paid the bond. Not right then. I had to go downstairs to the holding cell. And he said, oh, you can just sit right here. I was like, I got to get in the cell. He's like, no, just sit on the outside. And he's like, well, you got a bond of $150. You need to pay that. I knew it already. So I had the cash and I had $150 on the card, depending on which one I needed to do, what cash I had on hand. And I went to him and he said it in a low voice, the sheriff he looked like the stereotypical racist cop you would see from a Mississippi burning. He had the military haircut. He was an older guy, had that daggone Magnum PI mustache that was like all gray. He looked all rightish, if you will, something. And he just looks at me. He's like, he mumbles. If you didn't hear that, he's saying, do you have the money to pay the bond? He was like, you got the money right now? Kind of like, if you don't, I can lock you up, or maybe I can let you slide out of here and we can do it. So I was like, I really appreciate it. I was like, no, I got the money, $150. I got it. I got you. So I paid the $150 and he said, all right, you good. So I paid my bond and I was able to get out of there. But I had to walk down these stairs to go to the cell. I saw the cell. I saw the phone book that had all the pages ripped out and all the bail bondsman numbers and things like that. And oh no, please no, never again will I do the jail time. My rental credit was on point thereafter. I made sure I didn't owe anything ahead of time. Even Redbox, I'll get it on point because brother don't want to go to jail and trying to explain that I'm getting locked up over some, video game, PlayStation, Pac-Man stuff. That does not make you look tough. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna say I'm like this hustler that's did some, Asian on the Silk Road trade kind of thing is what I was going to say, because it's Dynasty Warriors, China. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I got lucky. I got out there and I paid the bond, and I have never seen a sale since, and I hope to never see one again. But that was my jail time experience. Thank you very much. Return your games. Be kind, rewind. Have a good one, guys. Thank you. Well, you guys have reached the end of another episode of the Manly Mythical Story Emporium. Once again, I'm your host, Thurston J.Y. Manley. Please like, subscribe, follow the podcast. And if this is your first time listening, this is where I provide you with my random thought or idea, or try to sharpen up something that I told maybe as a joke at an open mic, because I do like doing those, but haven't been able to do it because of this pandemic. I have a fear of the Roro or the Rona or the COVID-19 coronavirus. I don't like it. I don't want it. You can keep it. But my random thought today is we've newly acquired HBO Max. And on HBO Max, as opposed to HBO Go or HBO Now or whatever the heck it was before, because I have Roku TVs. And apparently on the Roku TVs, you can't get HBO Max. And I've downloaded 45, 15 apps to try to mirror my HBO Max off my phone to my TV. And none of them could work. But that's neither here nor there. But as part of the HBO Max, I scrolled down. They have hubs. And I got to go back and look at Looney Tunes. And, Looney Tunes in general, it's, pretty racist. You see some things like Pepe Le Pew. He's like not part of the Me Too movement. He's French and he's a skunk. So what are we saying? The French stink and they're overly sexual and they don't, they kind of rapey, if you will, to put it nicely. You got Speedy Gonzalez, racial slur, and his brother or cousin, Slowpoke, who's a slow Spanish guy, but he has a gun so he can shoot the cat. Kind of racist too. But the interesting thing is I went to one of our local zoos, not a zoo, not the real zoo, it was the fake zoo. It was like the Lucky Ranch, like some random guy with a bunch of land decided to have a bunch of animals on it that were exotic that won't eat each other. So you don't have it in your lines or anything like that. You got random birds and squash, some plants and doves. And I learned that the difference between a dove and a pigeon is that a dove is white and a pigeon is not. Yeah. So if you see a pigeon and it's got color, it's a pigeon. If you see a pigeon and it's white, it's a dove. Same freaking bird. Think about that. Racist. But the other thing besides racist is the misinformation. I mean, one of my favorite cartoon characters on Looney Tunes is Foghorn Leghorn. And if you look at the size of him, how enormous he is, because you know I have an experience with roosters. If you listen to the early part of this episode, this rooster is like bigger than the dog. Like you can pick the dog up by the tail and whoop it. Like how big is this freaking rooster? If you saw a rooster as big as Foghorn Leghorn is, but somehow still smaller than like a human, because when you see the farmer, he's smaller than that, you would freak out because that rooster is huge. I mean, huge. Think about him compared to the size of like the chicken hawk on there. It doesn't stand to reason that a rooster should be that big. And then you look at Wile E. Coyote. Yeah, Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Okay, Wile E. Coyote chases Roadrunner. Got it. He's starving. Got it. He goes to catch him. Got it. In some of the early episodes, it almost makes sense. He's trying to get him. He's doing things. But then he started ordering stuff from Acme to catch his Roadrunner. Okay, so you're ordering stuff from Acme. It comes instantly. Got it. It's cartoon. I'll let that go. But you ordering stuff from Acme to catch this bony, skinny little bird that barely got any meat on it. It's running all its calories off, so it's not going to be good. It's going to be gristle. And if you ordering stuff from Acme, meaning you got paper like that or some kind of credit line with this Acme company, why don't you just order some food? If you just order some food. Stop ordering stuff to catch this bird. And what does this teach us, people? That you need to stop seeing, you can't see the forest for the trees. You need to be focused on the goals. The focus to eat or the focus to be a hater. He's hating on his Roadrunner because he's faster than him. Because he could eat. It ain't to eat. It's just out of spite now. It started off when he won't go into Acme. When he was going to Acme. And before he was going to Acme, he was just trying to chase them. He was eating cans and stuff. When you start ordering Acme, I mean, you got money and you could order food and got that delivered. That's all I'm saying. So, resolution of this episode, what I want you to walk away is, don't be a hater. Stay focused on your goals. And don't let the spite bring you down. And don't let fear bring you down. Because I think Wile E. Coyote was fearing greatness and just ordered some food and he'd been fine. He's supposed to be super smart, but he was so caught up in the hate and just hating on the Dragon Roadrunner trying to catch this bony gristle thing. If he caught him, it would not be delicious. It'd be gamey and bony. That's all I'm saying. Thank you guys for listening. Follow on IG, Instagram, all that stuff and support. Twitter, Manly Story Pod. IG, Manly Mythical Story. Facebook, Manly Mythical Story Emporium. And my email is manlystory@gmail.com. Give me all them stars. Love you guys. Thanks for all the support.